Fix some oil leaks on the KW today. What we got, I think, is some rocker shaft seals. There's 3 heads on an 855. This is small cam. Been converted over to a 350, so it has a big cam aftercooler on it. Anyway, I'm gonna pull the rocker boxes, reseal them, and hopefully get it all back together here today. I'll get started here. So this is the inside of a small cam Cummins right here. Just kind of wanted to show you a few things. You got 4 valves per head. You got 2 intake. Intakes are in the middle of the head, exhaust are on the ends of each head. You got 3 heads. You have on these engines with a, if you got an engine that has a compression release, it has this item here, and what happens is when you rotate this lever, it rocks the shaft and it lifts your exhaust valves open. So there are differences between your intake and exhaust valves. Also, your injector push rod, you gotta watch, is always, it's a little bit longer, I believe, and it's always bigger. And I have had some of these bend, so it's a good idea when you get them pulled down to kind of look them over. I had a Votech instructor one time, he told me the best way to check them is throw them on the floor. And he caught my attention, but what he meant, and he actually did throw his on the floor, but what he meant was, if they don't sound right, you come across one that's dead sounding, it's cracked. So if you got a cracked injector or injector push rod, you got a cracked, I mean, they should make a nice, they actually sound better if you do throw them on the floor. You can hear them ring, kind of like a bell. But before I get it all back together, I will check all those for straightness, and also check them out to make sure they're kind of got to change the direction here. These plugs are the same diameter, they're just a little deeper. I can't get the Cummins today to get these. They probably wouldn't have them if I went. These are just 1 1/8" freeze plug. The book shows a plug that presses into the actual rocker shaft, and then there's an O-ring goes on it. Apparently, that's the O-rings the guy at the parts place gave me, but these do not work with this engine. And I didn't remember, when I rebuilt it, I didn't remember having an O-ring in here. And apparently I was right, there's not. So what I'm going to do, I'm using some flange sealer, anaerobic. I'm going to give this a try. And it should. These new plugs ought to work, but the thing with these plugs is they won't go all the way in. Their depth is a little bit, I mean, they'll be like just an 1/8". Posted a video the other day of this truck starting with the compression release, and it sounded like one of the cylinders was not decompressing to me, and I think I found the reason. This is my number 6 exhaust pushrod tube, and if you notice, this is off of number 4. That thing's a little bit out of whack. It's a little bit too high. So this one is actually came loose and will not lift the valve anymore. So interesting thing there. And I'm not sure I would even attempt to fix that. Move right on off. It looks like those are actually brazed on there when they were new. Maybe silver solder or brass rod or something like that. It's kind of hard to believe it hasn't came loose and fell down and got chopped up in the cam followers. So I believe I'm going to leave this one out. It's not hard to change a pushrod tube. That can be done at another date. I'll just have a 5-cylinder decompression system for now. Fastest lessons I've ever learned are the ones that cost a lot of money. And one of them I learned when I was putting this truck together. One of the first jobs I did to it was I changed the head gaskets on it. And I don't know, you probably, it may be kind of hard to see down in there, but the cam follower cup is down in the bottom. Well, one time I put some pushrod tubes in, and instead of hitting the cup, it went in between 2 of the cam followers, the arms, and I adjusted the valves on it. I had everything ready to go. I fired the truck up and it started missing, and I knew I'd done something wrong. Well, I ended up having to pull the cam follower, pulled the rocker cover back off, took all the pushrod tubes out on that head, and then had to pull the cam follower off the side of the engine. And when you do that, you have to retime it. And at the time, I didn't have access to a timing tool, so I had to call a mechanic in. I had a friend of mine, but still, it's a, you know, it gets expensive. But that was about a $400 or $500 mistake, and I'll tell you what, I'll never forget it, and most likely it won't happen to me again. Is always make sure, actually when you got them pushrod tubes seated in there good, the film of oil will lift that. You can actually lift that cam follower with the stickiness of the oil. And if you can lift that cam follower, you'll feel the weight of it. You can make sure you got those, you can make sure you're in the right spot.